This man has never knocked nobody out cold. He's a bully. He's slow. He has no skill, no footwork. He's awkward. And I have been giving him a name. Because he fights. When he's fighting, if you ever watch him in the ring, he drags like that after his opponent. and how's a mummy gonna catch me?
And all I had to do was to go out and beat a man who had no skill, no class. Seriously, the man had no skill. I don't know why the world is so foolish to believe in him and think that I wasn't going to win.
Well, when you say you're ready to go to war right now,
I see that barrel in the street, I beat him before the fight.
you'd actually take him on before the fight?
Beat him like I'm his daddy.
All the basketball players out there, football players, they want to beat so bad, they want to get everybody. I'll go to Mars, I don't care.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
Hey, happy Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, guys. And no matter what it has in store for you, it's glad you're able to join us here. Kick it off with another healthy debate. And, before you do your activities for the day. And so, yes, Shay, went ahead and kicked the link in the chat, Shay, for you. So feel free. And as you saw today, yes, we will be doing and having a grudge match with the person everybody wants a piece of because he's that damn good right now. But, yeah, it's between myself and Herm. 2016, we're going to continue our Who Had the Biggest Letdown series. So it's, right now it's between, as you saw, 2016 Kevin Durant or 2017 James Harden. So, in this case, we've got a relatively same era-based argument. An era-based argument, so two players, same time frame, really similar competition. They're all going against each other. So this should be a great, great debate. And we'll get our panel going on here. So right now we have Shay will be one of our judges, and Dart. Dart, why don't you introduce and say what maybe your initial thoughts here are?
All right. So my initial thoughts about this debate is I think that it's something that I find interesting, and I'm really excited to see how both of you gentlemen are going to portray this argument. It's, I think, something that a lot of people talk about in some capacity. And I'm really interested in seeing this. I'm hoping King Rowe will show up because we've got Shy here to talk about this LeBron James.
Yeah, I agree.
As well.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So hopefully that happens. But past that, this debate right now, which we know is about to happen, I'm excited for it. I want to hear what you and Hollywood Herm, the Hollywood in the Herm, I want to hear what you guys have to say about why you guys think you're gonna win.
Go ahead, Herm.
My bad, y'all. Well, end of the day, we know how memorable the moment was in that moment in 2016 with Kevin Durant, man. Basically, we know what he was at that time or what was expected, what typically don't happen in many series in NBA history, but it happened. So I just believe with just the facts and just the expectations and just everything to go along with that year and with that playoff run, it would be significant in this particular debate.
Perfectly said. I agree. I think there are a lot of ways when you really examine, those series. Obviously, there's a lot of mythos behind it, especially behind, because of who they played. But yeah, when you really deep dive in a lot of those series, there's arguments to be made on both ends, and it's really just going to be who did it best. So we'll we'll kick it off.
I personally think this debate will be good too. I mean, the
Yeah.
last 3 games of KD weren't good in 2016. The James Harden closeout game versus Spurs in 2017 wasn't too good either. And I think that those were two huge marks on their careers. Two huge stains on their careers. So I think this will be a good debate. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, it's plenty of fodder to go around. So, Dart, whenever you are able to bring up the clock, Herm, would you like to go first, or would you like to defer today?
I'll go first. It don't matter. I'll go first.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. More importantly, Herm, did you watch the Charles Barkley versus Dennis Rodman debate last week, and who did you think win? I'm not buying time to get this clock up.
I actually missed that debate due to the significant weather that we received in Memphis.
Yeah.
So I actually missed that one.
It was a good one. It was a good debate.
I'm gonna go back and watch it for sure and get my analysis of who I felt won that particular debate.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we weigh in on that. I thought that was one of the better debates that Dart and myself had, honestly. So 100%.
All right, I'm gonna drop myself and King Shy to the back, and then you guys will have the 10-second primer. Herm needs to be in here so he doesn't go away. But anyway, 10 seconds, and then you'll have the prep for that, Herm, and then it'll be time to go.
All right, let's get it.
Hold on.
You gotta do the countdown.
I'm trying to do.
My bad.
Travis, please stop moving Herm away.
I'm not moving him away.
All right. I don't think I've had this issue. All right, hold on.
There we go.
Three, two, one.
I got the 2016 meltdown for Kevin Durant and OKC Thunder over James Harden and the Rockets due to the fact that it was a historical moment. The Thunder was up 3-1 to a 73-9 Warriors. They was in control of their series. You got arguably the best player in the game, Kevin Durant, at the time, and they was in control. Yes, game 5 was closely contested, but that game 6 and 7, the Thunder were up 13 points in both game 6 and game 7 and blew those big leads and ultimately blew that 3-1 lead and lost that series. Just the fact that the Thunder, they had 2 All-Stars. When you look at James Harden Rockets, they only had one, which was James Harden. James Harden didn't have a co-star or anything. He basically led team with role players. So really the expectations of the Rockets wasn't as high as the Oklahoma City Thunder. Everybody thought that it was a bad matchup for the Warriors, especially while the series were going on. And when you look at the Houston Rockets at the time, they basically overachieved and surprised people. So they actually hit their limits. Yes, he had some bad games, but end of the day, that team really just wasn't better than the team that they went against. In the Thunder's case, they left a lot on the table, and they showed that they actually were a better team than the Golden State Warriors because they dominated those first 4 games. It's just that they had mental lapses. They had mental breakdowns, whether it came down to coaching, whether it came down to the two best players on the team. But Kevin Durant ultimately folded in those situations, and the Oklahoma City Thunder blew that historical 3-1 lead, which ultimately changed the course of NBA history. It changed the course of how super teams were perceived. So if that moment didn't happen, maybe we still would have the parity in the game. Maybe it would have been equal spread out. Maybe LeBron James probably would have more chips. So the significance of that series alone just changed the scope of the NBA. It changed the landscape of the competition variable in the game. And it created separation to the point where that it stopped the greatness of LeBron James at that moment as well. So the Thunder blowing that 3-1 lead not only was significant to themselves, it was significant in the NBA itself. It had a huge impact on the offseason, had a huge impact on the following season. Hell, it had a huge impact towards the end of the 2010s. So that's the difference between the two. Nobody didn't expect the Houston Rockets to be a championship contender team, but the Thunder were contenders. The Thunder were serious contenders, and they blew it. Arguably, Kevin Durant's the best player on the court, but he
3,
blew it.
2, 1.
Okay, gentlemen. So right off the bat here, we're just going to make a couple of corrections. It's right. I mean, he is right. The actual 2017, or aside from James Harden, there was not another All-Star on that team. However, it was a balanced team. Okay, make no mistake about it. Okay, they had a very balanced roster. They had 6 players in double figures. They had the 6th man of the year in Eric Gordon. They had Patrick Beverley, who made all defensive first team. He was top 10 in DPOY voting. Luke Williams finished top 3 in 6th man of the year voting. They had the number 2 offense in the league, so they weren't sneaking up on anyone, especially by the playoffs. Come playoff time, they weren't going to be some surprise team. They were deadly. They had guys who could score, who could play defense. All this, right? And they were hitting their stride right as they were expected to get in the playoffs here. Okay, now when trying to decide who had the bigger letdown between these two players, okay, that we all know all about. Again, you got to ask your question: who was worse statistically? What kind of competition? Whose team offered more support and gave them more chances to win? And who had the lower moments during the series? The answer to all those is James Harden. Okay, let's get into it. Durant was statistically better than James Harden. And what's more, he elevated his play to a degree. He averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds per game. Again, 3.3 assists. So he scored 25% or 25 plus points in 6 of 7 games. He had 2 40-point games. He elevated his production across points, steals, blocks, and maintained his rebound average from the regular season. Okay. Now, juxtapose that to James Harden. Every single one of his stats, points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, especially his field goal percentage, dipped significantly in that series that they lost. Okay. He had 3 games shooting under 35%, and 2 of those were actually under 20%. Okay. He had 2 games with 7+ turnovers. And again, we will examine all those shortcomings in the later rounds. Okay. We're going to juxtapose on those. Durant had fewer low points. So when you're talking about statistics, okay, which was the first box that we check, Durant's bad games, which we're going to talk about, were still productive, much more productive than James Harden low points, okay? He never scored fewer than 23 points. Harden had multiple games where he was inefficient, very turnover prone, super passive, and we're going to talk about especially in the closeout games, okay, including game 2. Now, bottom line, Durant was better statistically than James Harden, okay? Like we talked about, he raised a lot of his production while Harden regressed in basically every single category. Did he have the better team on paper? No. But we're going to talk about how he let his
3,
team down,
2,
not the other way around.
1.
Well, the problem with that is Kevin Durant's play lapsed as well. Look at games 5 through 7 with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant basically shot 42% for the field. the last 3 games from games 5 through 7. He shot 30% from 3 in those last 3 games. And he had a very horrific game 6, 9 for 23. At the end of the day, as efficient as Kevin Durant is, probably the most efficient scorer of all time. That was just lackluster play and that not his normal stuff. And it significantly made history blowing the 3-1 league at that. It's not like the Rockets was in control of the series and basically was like the Thunder, basically had everything right there. Give it to all I had to do was win 1 game. But Kevin Durant basically folded in those moments. Let's look at it this way with James Harden. It's kind of easy to key in on a guy when he doesn't have a significant ball handler like a Russell Westbrook, when he doesn't have the type of offensive help with guys that can get that shot off of it. Yes, Lou Williams cool, but that's your guy off the bench. When it comes to clutch moments, Lou Williams not really known for a guy that just really carry an offensive load throughout a whole series. That never been his forte. So with the responsibility and that James Harden not only being the scorer, he had to also be the playmaker because he was the best scorer and playmaker. So not only that he had to create for his own shots, he had to actually play making, create shots for others, create opportunities for others. So it was a lot of significant pressure on him. And plus, it was easier for the opposing team to game plan for him. It was no excuse for Kevin Durant. And especially you want to talk about passive. Kevin Durant was passing in game 7. Yes, if you look at the stats, you just look at the box score without watching the game, you would think Kevin Durant had a good game, 10 for 19. But down the stretch in that fourth quarter in that game 7, he was very passive to the degree that Russ felt like he had to put it on his back to basically be the aggressor and basically try to will his team to win because Kevin Durant was being very passive, not being aggressive, not really being the offensive guru that he truly was. That's a fact, and that's on tape. So when you look at that aspect of it, yes, you could point out to the stats all you want, but the stats only give you half of the story. What you seen on film was a totally different thing. Kevin Durant moment was much bigger. It was much worse. And the fact that you was up 3-1 in control, you basically deviated from what got you to be up 3-1 in the first place, and you basically folded. And there's no excuse for that. And you lost game 7 at home. So it's not as if like Kevin Durant just sit up there and lost game 6 at home. Wasn't game 7, but game 6 at
3,
home.
2, 1.
All right, guys. Well, just like I mentioned in round 1, we are going to talk about pretty much exactly what my opponent was elaborating on, which is, again, whose team actually did show up for him, right? Yeah, and no, he's absolutely right. Down the stretch of these series, a big part of why both of these individuals lost, Durant and Harden, was because in most of the games they weren't playing up to stuff, right? There were moments they had let down, but the main difference is Kevin Durant. When you check the moments, when you go ahead and watch the film, when you look at it, just the pure stats, again, he wasn't as bad as James Harden. We're going to go into that, right? But let's talk about how Durant's teammates let him down versus how Harden let his team down, okay, himself. So in game 5, another Thunder loss, a squeaker, 121-11. Durant had 40 points and 12 for 31 shooting. He was aggressive. He kept OKC in the game. Was he the most efficient guy in the court? I didn't know. But again, he wasn't disappearing in complete games like Durant or like James Harden was in games 2 and 6, or basically a non-factor where he was fouling out, where he was shooting 18% from the field. Westbrook, his other all-star teammate, right? Shot 11 for 28 with 7 turnovers. The bench outside of Anthony Morrow combined for just 3 points on 1 for 9 shooting. Usually reliable role players like Dion Waiters, like Randy Foye, like Mazhar Muhammad, had more combined turnovers than points scored in that game. Okay. Now, the takeaway is Durant dropped 40 on the road. He gave his bench gave him virtually nothing. Okay. And the scores actively hurt the team with turnovers and empty possession. So, yeah, was it his best game? No, but he was basically the only one who was showing up. Game 6, same story. Durant, 10 for 31, not his best game. He was still their best scorer. One of the best rebounders, the best defender, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. He competed throughout. He scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. He did not disappear. Okay. What about his teammates? Westbrook, 10 for 27, 7 turnovers. The role players were 3 for 23 from 3. Okay. Under Roberson, 2 points. Durant was not perfect, but he was productive and aggressive. Okay. In Game 7, same situation. Like my opponent mentioned, he had 27 points. Yeah, he wasn't the best in that game. But aside from Durant, the rest of the Thunder starters combined to shoot 16 in that game. Game 7, they shot 16 for 54, 29% from the field. That's the help Durant was getting from, again, who my opponent says was a far better team, way better help, right? Again, 29% from the field. Well, Durant, not much better, but he was really the best player on the team. Okay. Now, a summary of Durant's side, okay? And we're going to go into this on James Harden's side as well. Durant averaged more than him. He never scored on 27. Like he never shot under 30% from the field. He competed on both ends. Okay, his teammates repeatedly failed him. We're going to go into how James Harden did the opposite.
I guess though, Travis, forget about game plans. Forget about probably one of the best time coaches against James Harden that series, Greg Popovich. What the Spurs did to neutralize Harden, this is why you really can't blame Harden. They basically stayed home. They didn't allow any switches. They basically made Harden a passer. So when he was trying to force the issue offensively, that's why his percentages were low. Because the Spurs basically dared Harden to let the others be the ones to help him succeed, to help him win. They basically dared the others to beat him. So the Spurs took away the drives. They took away his step back. They basically was hard hedging. They basically was making James Harden work. And he had to give up the ball because if he didn't, like you pointed out in that game 6 with those 10 points, he had those 6 turnovers when he was forcing the issue, when he was trying to create offensive opportunities. Unlike Kevin Durant, he still was getting favorable matchups. He had other guys at double figures. Hell, Serge Ibaka and Steve Adams were dominating the paint, for crying out loud. They disappeared games 5 through 7. But for the most part, they was there, averaging double figures. Basically, both of those guys averaged double-doubles, and Russ basically averaged a 24-point double-double himself. So he had help. He had significant help. Dion Raiders coming off the bench as well. So it's not like the Thunder didn't have opportunity. The Thunder just went away from what they did. It's just simple point blank. When you blowing a 3-1 lead, that is worse than what anything James Harden did in that Spurs series. Nobody thought the Rockets had a chance against the Spurs. Nobody ever pictured that. But with the Thunder being up 3-1, with arguably the best player in the world, Kevin Durant, you would think that the Thunder would win. The Thunder would win. The Thunder would win it. My bad, y'all. My bad. But end of the day, y'all, blowing a 3-1 lead is worse than anything that anybody could do. Kevin Durant, man, being the superstar that he was supposed to make it happen. And with the fact that James Harden really was the underdog going into the series, with the game plan of Greg Popovich, there really was no way in hell that the Rockets really had a chance with no significant superstar help that Kevin Durant actually had with Russell Westbrook, what he had with the great defenders of Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka. Shit, Harden only had Pat Bell. Kevin Durant had Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams protecting their ass. But through it all,
3, 2,
man, my bad, y'all.
1.
Well, guys, as I was talking about there, I mean, we talked about how Durant and his team, basically, Durant was always the best player on his team, aside from maybe one game in that series, right? And that being said, we talked about how in a lot of those big games, Durant showed up. Was he always the most efficient, as he was during that series during the regular season? Absolutely not, all right? That's what happens when you're facing a fantastic defensive team like that year's juggernaut Warriors team with the runner-up DPOY in Draymond Green, fully healthy prime Draymond Green, right? Now, but he still showed up. He still competed. He wasn't disappearing, right? It was his teammates that did it, and I gave you those stats that prove that, okay? He wasn't playing his best ball, but again, his teammates were absolutely clamped as well, especially Westbrook. We talked about how inefficient he was as well. Now, let's go to James Harden. Harden shot, as we mentioned, under 35% in 3 games. Yes, they could key on him, but again, the greats get past that, right? He was also being outplayed in multiple games by the teammates that my opponent says weren't there. Like guys like Trevor Ariza, Pat Beverly, Clint Capella, who was dominating the glass in, let's say, game 2, where they lost because Harden was a no-show. Clint Capella, 12 points, 16 rebounds. Rockets shot 44% from 3 without Harden. Gordon had 20 points. Trevor Ariza was there. Game 6, maybe the worst game of his career, 10 points. He had 18% shooting, 6 turnovers. He fouled out. And again, this was without DPOY candidate. This is without. Sorry. Oh, man. Yeah, the golf on there. Sorry. This was without Tony Parker, who actually ended his career in game 2 of that series. He ruptures his leg. And also Kawhi Leonard, who was top 3 in DPOY voting and MVP that same series or that same year. Okay. Without those services in game 6, they still lost by almost 40 points. Okay. So he had basically the entire it was all in front of him, right? He could have pushed it to a game 7 if he would have just showed up. They were missing their 2 best players, obviously. Okay. Takeaway, it was a complete disappearance. Harden had the more sufficiency, more turnovers. And again, he melted down when that Spurs team had no business beating them, let alone blowing them out by 40 points when they were missing their 2 best players. Okay. Tony Parker was a multiple-time MVP. It was a multiple champion finals MVP. So long story short, okay, Durant in 2016 was far better. Okay. Harden's collapse was far worse. Durant consistently produced, elevated his numbers, and carried a weaker supporting cast in that series against the 73-win dynasty and DPI runner-up.
All right. I thought that was a great debate. Before we get into the judging, Travis, how do you think you did today?
I thought I did okay. I had the little bit of the coughs. I had to mute myself in the round 3. But otherwise, I think that I did okay as far as trying to present my case. There were maybe some meat left on the bone there. But, I think that all in all, I think I got my point across.
All right. Hollywood Herm, how do you think you did?
It was solid. I thought it was a solid debate. I felt I came with facts. I thought I especially came with facts in that first round. I have it changed the course of basically history for the rest of the 2010s. But we'll see how everybody think in a second though.
All right, King Shy, how do you think this went? Yeah,
So
can you
I thought Herb won round 1 with the point that with how 2016 and how Katie choke changed history. Not only that, but how Katie was arguably the best in the world in 2016, and Harden was not at all in 2017. So the standards were a bit different. He also brought up the point of KD's playmaking. James Harden's ability to score and play make, and he had to do more for his team than KD, who's just mostly focusing on scoring. And the fact that KD did have KD had another All-Star, All-NBA player on his roster. James Harden did not. But at the same time, Travis brought up the point of James Harden having a more well-rounded roster, which I like that point too. I also like the point with Herm bringing up the fact that that same year in 2017, you had arguably the greatest coach of all time with arguably the best defense in 2017, scheming entirely on James Harden versus the Warriors, who were scheming on KD and Russell Westbrook. And I'm also glad that Travis brought up the point of Kevin Durant in 2016. He still performed really good. He had 10 for 19, and I think it was game 6 or game 7. So he didn't entirely choke, and James Harden choked in the last game. So overall, I would give him round 1. I would give Travis round 2, and ultimately round 3. I might gotta lead Herm. I gotta lead Herm. So I'll go Herm. I'll go Herm.
Herm, you tricky bastard. You're up 1-0, man. Let's see what Dart does. Oh, did we lose Dart?
Hopefully come back up shortly.
Yeah, let's see. Dart. Well, I mean, hey, I'll respond to that. Good analysis, and yeah, I think right. There was one thing I will say is that you know I was hoping Herm wouldn't kind of go in on the whole like he didn't have a Westbrook to kind of defer to, and like they could kind of on him, but of course he did, because it's Herm.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a lot of things I could have worked around by that, but I thought that Herm did a great job.
Similar to last week's debate, I thought this was really close. I think this would go like pretty much either way, Travis. And ultimately, it just went on who I thought made a bit. I just like when I determine these debates, I try to pick the person who I thought had more compelling points.
Sure.
And I thought that ultimately Herm might have had. Yeah.
And I mean, hey man, if Dart's actually dead, hopefully he's not. I don't know about Dart here, but I mean,
I don't know either.
We'll get him in a minute, but hey, we've had one judge before, and I mean, if that's the case, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
Herm gets to squeak one out, but I mean, as usual, though, I mean, if that's the case, guys,
the 2017 point was good though.
Yeah, I feel this was a great debate. I felt it's a one that
you came with it with the stats and stuff. I wasn't gonna argue the stats point, so I stayed away from the statistics. But you know what I'm saying, I wanted to stay away from that most definitely because I knew what Harden did that year. But I understood also Greg Popovich, probably one of the best coaches of all time, had a hell of a scheme, and they wasn't they was making them pass. They were basically forcing them to pass. Like, yeah, we're not gonna let you get us with these step backs. We're not gonna let you kill us with this pick and roll. We only gonna commit to you. We not leaving you. We gonna stay at home. And they had a perfect scheme though throughout that whole series. That's why even without Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker, they were still able to squeak it out just due to the game plan and philosophy that they was disciplined. The Spurs were very disciplined in that series. Very much.
And even without they still did a great job even without Kawhi Leonard in that closeout game, right? They were like super intense. And the guy who actually replaced him actually stepped up huge. I forget his name. I was looking at the other day in that single game. But yeah, that was a great couple of great moments there. But yeah, legacy defining for sure. But so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what happened to Dart. But
I have no clue.
We will say, okay.
No clue.
Hold on.
Hey, Shy, man, you got King Road ducking you, man.
Yeah,
of course.
He's ducking everyone.
Of course,
Dart,
man.
what did you think, sir? There's Mr. Orca himself. What's up, Dart?
Yeah. Okay, you can hear me now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess Shay gave, looking at the comments, Shay gave Herm the win.
He did.
Yes. All right. Well, let me break down what I had. I unfortunately, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, had a power outage briefly, but luckily it came back on fairly fast. Excuse me. So the first round, I thought that Herm gave some great points in the first round about how more of a qualitative answer of how the super teams changed after the Durant meltdown, him going to the Warriors, and how that changed really the aspect of how people looked at the super teams. However, I think that I got to pull up my notes, but what I had is that Travis was given specific details about his claim about Harden, and particularly bringing up aspects of the also eminent players on his team that could support him. Not that he was taking away anything from Durant's teammates. For the second round, I got to pull up my notes for this. But the big thing that I got out of that was that Travis even though Herm brought up that really the major factor for him was Durant's lapse play from games 5 through 7. But Travis really started bringing in the details of those statistics, and that Westbrook as an all-star teammate didn't do well. And then talked about how Durant was scoring 10 points in the fourth quarter and the teammates weren't as good. So I gave Travis a second round also. The third round was really a toss-up because both of you guys had things going on. I don't know what happened with Herm, but he kind of came in and out, and it seemed like somebody was talking in the background trying to get his attention. I'm not trying to take away from that, but similarly, Travis had issues with where he had just stopped talking in the middle of it. So where I had Travis winning the debate, at the very least two to a draw, because both of the last rounds were a little. I really didn't get hear too much of the point. So seeing the chat where Shy had Herm winning, it seemed I would say that Travis won that debate for what I had seen. So what about the chat? Let's see. Let's drop a link. Anyone that's watched the whole debate, who do you think won this whole thing?
Someone in the chat said 3-0 Travis, so that pretty much answers it.
I mean, we can have a poll in there.
Yeah.
Casual Hoop said it's 3-0, but if anyone wants to come up, Casual Hoop said was on earlier talking for a while. I'm sure he's not afraid to talk.
Was he? Oh, get up here, Casual. Looking back, I'll give Herm round one. He
Okay,
said.
so 2-1. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I just think that Herm really leaned on qualitative details that I'm not saying were incorrect, or at least incorrect might be too strong of a term. Things that I don't agree with. I just don't think there are enough details to support past it. So, the change of he led within round one, or one of the main things is that it changed the landscape of the super team. I would have liked to heard more details, even if it was just qualitative that, hey, with the future teams that were trying to create super teams or just a stigma behind it, I would have liked to hear more details. I don't disagree with what he was saying in that concept. I just don't think in respect to the debate, I don't think he brought enough evidence to the claim for that. So I don't disagree with it. Again, within the debate, I don't think it was enough was brought to it.
Well, there you have it, folks. Well, our two actual judges here are split. Both gave great reasoning as to how they made their decisions. I'm gonna, whatever the chat says, I think is great, but I really want to get a point where we have. I really want to take Herm down with three actual judges on the panel at some point, like we've had before. Because obviously, we have people who'll show up and shine, like the gentleman here. But I think we'll do that. Maybe we can call this one a draw. But either way, I think it was a fantastic debate. And next week, we're gonna try to have if Roe's still alive, hopefully, we'll have him and Shy with their postponed debate about the Lakers, and then we'll go from there. We'll get everyone back on the circuit here and do it. But I think with that being said, everyone.
I got something not to ruin today because it was supposed to be a double header. Shy. This is a really typical. I don't think needs a large preparation debate because everyone thinks about it. I'll take you on right now. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, who's greater, if you're interested.
Oh, you want to do that?
Oh, you want to do that? Oh, we could do that. I got the same talking points in the back of my head because it's a very repetitive debate, so we could do it.
What do you think, Herm? You want to help judge?
Yeah, I judge.
All right, then I guess we're gonna watch them do the resurrect the age-old debate on us.
trying to save the second debate.
Sure.
Shy, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go. I'll go first.
All right, I got to get this back up right now. The time.
We got an impromptu, guys. You're in for a treat, and we
But
got
actually, I want to clarify this debate real quick, right? Are we arguing who's the GOAT, or we're arguing who's better between LeBron and Jordan?
just
Because I
greater.
actually think it's different. Oh, who's greater?
Who's greater?
Yeah. Herm, I will obviously message you next coming days to get something else set up as well. For sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, before we get too far with this, Herm, we got to have a rematch. I'm 0-1 against you in the Bob Cousy Oscar Robertson debate. I want a second chance at you.
Oh, you call
we can. We most definitely can.
Obviously a different subject because it's already been done, but we need to get something together. I don't have anything off the top of my head because I just threw this off the top of my head. But yeah,
let's do that. That'll be awesome. I'll set that up.
Oh yeah, we'll most definitely get together on that.
Alrighty.
You.
Okay. Are you ready, Shy?
Yep.
All right. Gentlemen, if you can stand by in the background to judge. Shy, you'll have a 10-second primer.
Okay.
And then it will start. Let me get the rounds to the right number 6. Just 3 rounds each.
I'm about to say it.
All right. I'm going to start it.
Three, 2, 1.
LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, the age-old debate. Who's the greater basketball player? To me, I think it's pretty simple. It's LeBron for a multitude of reasons. A, we talk about winning. Jordan has more rings, but LeBron has more finals appearances. He has more playoff wins. He has more regular season wins. He has more playoff appearances. LeBron has won practically everything all around over Jordan, including Eastern Conference championships. The only thing Jordan has is championships. If you want to argue that, that's 100% cool. That's 100% cool because championship is a compelling argument. But again, championships don't always make a player better, and it doesn't tell the full story. So LeBron arguably has winning in that department. If you want to go off championships, that's cool. When we talk about LeBron at his peak, LeBron was the best offensive and defensive player in the league simultaneously. Michael Jordan was never that. It was always Hakeem or David Robinson or Scotty or one of these guys who were just flat out better defenders. Even Dikembe Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning, Dennis Rodman, those guys for a minute. And when we talk about LeBron, I mean, LeBron's arguably the greatest offensive player of all time. He's a top 3, top 5 playmaker of all time to me. He's the second greatest scorer behind Kevin Durant to me. He's an all-time leading scorer at his absolute apex. LeBron won 2 straight MVPs from 2012 to 2014. He won another 2 before his peak in 2009 and 2010. And LeBron from 2009 to 2013 was essentially a top 3 defensive player and the best offensive player in the league by a mile. Okay, Michael Jordan was never that. And not only that, but when we just talk about LeBron and his longevity, LeBron's made 21 straight All-NBAs, 22 straight All-Star teams. Okay, the last time LeBron missed an All-NBA team, right? I was in elementary school. Now I'm almost 30. That's that's some crazy longevity, right? LeBron. When we also talk about greatness, LeBron's also dominated the toughest era of basketball for the longest period of time in NBA history. LeBron James has the most points in NBA history. LeBron is, I believe, top 2 in assists in NBA history. LeBron is top 2 in playoff assists in NBA history. LeBron is number 1 in scoring in the playoffs in NBA history. LeBron's top 3 triple doubles in the regular season and playoffs in NBA history. He's in terms of triple doubles, he's top 3 in the regular season and playoffs. LeBron holds a multitude of records that I'm going to get to in the next round. Michael Jordan does not hold that many records. He also holds the most player of the weeks and player of the months in NBA history. LeBron James, when we just talk about what he's done for the league for over a 20-year stretch, Michael Jordan never had a stretch of years as good as that, right? Michael Jordan had retired twice in his prime, and not only that, but LeBron never took a year off, never took a day off, never took a week off. He stayed consistent at the top for 20 straight years. Finished top 3 in MVP voting in 06 and in 2020. That's a decade and a half of doing that.
So you talked about Michael Jordan retiring twice. Well, guess what? The first time he came back, he won MVP, All-Star MVP, the championship, and had the best record for where you won a championship with a 72-10 record, the greatest of all time. Many consider the greatest team of all time. And why that's important is that he was able to come back and even in the Wizards years, still be an all-star, still be an all-league caliber player, retiring twice for more than a year on both sides of it. So I think that's a fantastic. You mentioned players of the weeks and months. That's if you find that important, I particularly don't. But really, the basis of what you were saying is that you talked about totals. Does it matter? I don't think so. I think results matter. Why you're talking about total wins in the playoffs, total wins all time. Like you said, the championships, that matters more. That's what you're playing for. That's what you're fighting for. And I'd like to talk about dominance and results. That's what matters, what you're actually playing for. And then you talked about LeBron James being considered the best offensive player and defensive player in the same season. Guess what Michael Jordan actually was, because he won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. LeBron James, obviously, or just for everyone that doesn't know, he never did that. I don't understand where your claim came from. I'm actually providing evidence to it. How is he top 3 as a scorer? How is he second behind KD? I don't understand that. And then the evidence of the 2009 and 2013, Michael Jordan during a long period of time was winning first team All NBA and first team All NBA defense in the same Now, but to talk more so in dominance, Michael Jordan led the league in scoring 10 times, and he led the league in steals 3 times. He is one of a handful of players that have ever won more than 2 statistical titles in the same season. Some other big guys like that are Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Walton. Chris Paul is another one with steals and assists. The point of it is that's displaying dominance across that statistical title. Things that, just to talk about it. And you talked about the toughest era of basketball. I don't even know, where's your evidence? You're just saying things. I want evidence. I'm providing evidence. How is it the toughest era of basketball? Please come back with it. And totals is a record. It's not a result of competition. It's great that he was able to get these totals all the time. It's not to say he's not a great player, but what does it really matter? It matters that he could just continue to play and not be the best in respect to winning the championship or winning dominance titles or women. And he won a lot of eminence titles, but in comparison, he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. I want to know what you're talking about, because to me, it's not clear how he's greater than Michael Jordan.
1.
Michael Jordan is not the GOAT in terms of championships or statistical titles. That's Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, respectively. You talked about All-Stars, Michael Jordan making All-Star team after quitting back with the Wizards. That's cute. And the reason why that's cute is because at the same age as 38, 39, LeBron was making 2 straight All-NBA teams. Jordan could not do that. LeBron was averaging over 25 points. Jordan could not do that in terms of scoring, right? When we talk about quitting, that matters because it also hindered Jordan's longevity. Championships, if you want to say that's NOBL, sure, cool. You can go ahead and say that. When I say Michael Jordan was never the best defensive player and offensive player in the same year, again, MVP does not mean best offensive player, but even if it does, he damn sure was not the best defensive player in '88. Hakeem Olajuwon got robbed that year. Tom Haberstroh even said the fake steals for Michael Jordan, and we know about that. When we talk about LeBron got robbed in terms of Defensive Player of the Year by Marc Gasol. That is undeniable that he got robbed by Defensive Player of the Year by Marc Gasol, because Marc Gasol was second-team all-defense that year. LeBron James made first-team all-defense. And even still, he was still the best defensive player in the league in 2013, the best offensive player in the league in 2013, a top 3 defensive and offensive player in the league in that stretch. He was the best transition player in the league in that stretch. He was the best scorer, finisher at the rim in that stretch. He was the best passer, playmaker in that stretch. He was the most versatile defender. He was the best wing defender in that stretch. He was arguably the best off-ball defender in that stretch. He was the best transition defender in that stretch. So that pretty much backs up my claim. When I say toughest era, right? LeBron plays in an era with more evolved athletes, bigger, faster, stronger. He plays in an era where It's hard to play 82 games because of all the wear and tear on your body, because you're covering more ground, because the floor is more space with actual shooters. Not only that, but LeBron also faced some of the toughest opponents in NBA history. He played the Boston Celtics with Kevin Garnett. He faced Indiana Pacers with Paul George. He faced the San Antonio Spurs in the finals, the Golden State Warriors. He also faced 5 times in his career a team with 4 All-Stars. So 06 Pistons, 2017 Warriors, 2015 Hawks, 2011 and 2010 Celtics. Not only that, when I say LeBron's the greatest scorer in NBA history, he definitely is the greatest scorer in NBA history. Not greatest, he definitely is the second greatest scorer in NBA history, because he's, again, the all-time leader in scoring in the regular season and post. Not only that, but LeBron is also one of the most efficient scorers in NBA history. He's a great three-point shooter. He was actually an elite three-point shooter at his peak. His ability to finish at the basket is second to none. He's a great transition scorer in NBA history. Not only that, but he's developed his post game as a scorer, and that's undeniable too. And the reason why lastly, the reason why Player of the Week and Player of the Month matter is because they're part of accolades that NBA.com verified. They're real trophies. Scoring titles are not real trophies. But Michael Jordan has 114 accolades verified by NBA.com. LeBron James has a whopping 188.
All right, so LeBron James is not the GOAT of stat titles or championships either. However, MJ is greater than LeBron in both, and significantly so within the stat titles, let alone the championships. Two more in respect to 6-4. Michael Jordan played 15 years. He had longevity, and his dominance is so much more so in respect to the titles that I've talked about in comparison to LeBron James. It's 13-2. Like that's it's 6 times plus more that he was the most dominant in respect to accumulating these stats within a season. I find that not to be even considerably close. And then also he was a great assist player in being Michael Jordan for an offensive totality. He averaged only around 1 assist behind LeBron. And then you're talking about what ifs with LeBron in respect to the offensive defensive thing. You're talking about robberies. I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about how Michael Jordan was both the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year, not he should have been or could have been or whatever. It doesn't matter. It didn't happen with LeBron James, period. And again, I'm talking about results and what matters. It doesn't matter in respect to totals. That's a secondary thing. That's a next level kind of analysis. Oh, he was able to stay in the league around for this many more years, and he was able to accumulate these points. But what did it lead to? Period. What did it lead to? He got all NBAs and all-star appearances. I'll give him that. But all these claims, you're talking about wing defenders. Where's the evidence? You're talking about post play and all these other things. You just said things. Where's the evidence? You're just saying things. And you're talking about hardship of how they're playing. What about the physicality in respect to the 80s and 90s? You're talking about spacing and wear and tear. So these guys didn't get injured in the 80s and 90s. Did you, in respect to the fouling, the post play, the grind, the slow down aspect of it? There's a big physicality aspect to that too. And then all the words you talk about, the guys that Michael played against. Look about the 97 and 98 Jazz, and talk about totals, things that you want to talk about. You got Karl Malone as of now the 3rd leading total scorer of all time, and you got John Stockton still the leading assist and steals guy all time. So that's let alone talking about playing against guys like Magic Johnson, who's got 5 championships, 3 MVPs, etc. You got Charles Barkley, an MVP. You got Clyde Drexler, who ended up winning a couple championships. And then you got Gary Payton, Defensive Player of the Year, and Sean Kemp. All of these things happened. And a lot of the things that I heard in your last round were just excuses to try and put LeBron above without providing much evidence. You just said Paul George. I just said Magic Johnson in respect to a one-word answer.
2, 1.
The statistical title thing, if you want to argue that, again, he has more statistical titles, but that's still not enough for him to be the GOAT. He has more championships, still not enough for him to be GOAT because he's still not number 1 in those respective departments. I also found it very funny how you brought up the 97 Jazz, because Karl Malone and John Stockton, that team in the 97-98 Jazz were nowhere near as good as the 2017 and 2018 Warriors. They weren't even as good as the 2014 or 2013 Spurs, or even as good as the 16 or 15 Warriors. There was a stretch where LeBron James was in the finals for 6 consecutive years, where those finals opponents from 2013 to 2018 blow out any Jordan finals opponent. Even 2017 was, even 07 was way better. Not only that, but you also wanted to bring up his competition. I could go down a laundry list of players that LeBron James has faced. He's faced Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant. He's played Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Giannis, Anthony Davis. All these guys I'm naming, Paul Pierce, Melo, Jason Tatum, all these guys have one thing in common. They play the forward position. I don't even got to go to other players at different positions that LeBron wasn't guarding, because Michael Jordan had really 0 to none shooting guard competition. But even still, if we want to go down the whole list of names, even Steph Curry, you could throw in a Damian Lillard. You could throw in a Chris Paul, a Russell Westbrook, a James Harden, a John Wall, a Tim Duncan, a Kevin Garnett, a Dirk Nowitzki, a Nikola Jokic, a Giannis, and a Embiid. All these guys that are non-forwards, non-wings, LeBron played in his era. Okay, so even still, that logic doesn't even work. Even a Kobe or Shaq that I didn't even mention. You also wanted to bring up the physicality of the 90s, which we've watched the film of the late 80s Pistons that you guys gassed up, the physicality. But even if you guys want to lie and bullshit and act like that was physicality, let's go ahead and do it. Because even then, this defense was nowhere near as good as LeBron's defenses in the 2000s and 2010s, because LeBron was playing actual zone defenses. And I don't want to hear the thing of, oh, Jordan played zone defenses in 02 and 03. Well, Jordan only averaged 23 a game. Even if you want to argue that Jordan was old, that's fine, because peak Michael Jordan in 92 in the Olympics faced zone defense and was garbage. Garbanzo beans in those Olympics in terms of zone defenses. LeBron played in the dead ball era too. He dominated that dead ball from 03 to 08. He made 2 first-team All-NBAs. He made an NBA Finals. He made 4 straight All-Stars and All-NBAs. He was a rookie of the year. He dominated that era. From 09 to 2013, LeBron also dominated that era. And not only that, but to compound my final point, right? We talk about what did it lead to? It led to LeBron having more conference titles than Jordan, more playoff wins, regular season wins, more conference finals appearances. It led to LeBron having more player of the week, player of the month, more defensive player of the month, more defensive player of the weeks, more All-Stars, more All-NBAs, more points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks in the regular season and playoffs, more triple doubles, more threes. LeBron James is the most dominant, the greatest player in NBA history. That's a claim that Michael Jordan cannot fight, and that cannot back up.
LeBron James is not the most dominant player in NBA history, not by statistical titles, not by championships, not by MVPs. I think really it's all NBA awards and All-Stars that you could say he's the most dominant in respect to getting anything. He is not the most dominant across all time, especially when you compound these things all in the same season. Like, for example, LeBron James, when's the last time that he won an all-defense award? It's been around 10 years. I don't know the specific time, but it's been quite some time. Michael Jordan, throughout the entirety of his, not the entirety, but mostly of his career, was winning all NBAs, all defense, all-stars, scoring titles. He won steals titles. He won MVPs 5 times. All of these together, more so than what LeBron James did. Him being dominant, he was on top of every aspect of the game for a majority of his career, or for a large majority of his career if you don't want to count the championships. That's almost half of his career. But you're talking to you again repeated totals without results because he's got the most wins. What did it lead to? It didn't win a fucking championship. I'm going to curse because it's ridiculous what you're talking about. We're talking about who's greater. You're talking about who's greater of all time. You're trying to make this claim like there's a difference between the two. Michael Jordan still elapses this kind of stuff. We're talking specifics. I'm talking specifics and evidence. You're not providing it. You're making claims and respect the teams with no evidence about how they're greater. The teams that that LeBron James played against with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan played a higher win percentage. I'm going to give some evidence and a claim in respect to the playoff teams that he played. He played against teams that had a higher win percentage in total when he played against them in the titles. You talked about individual players. Michael Jordan played against Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, and he would guard up to forwards. You talked about he couldn't guard everyone. He would guard guys that were forward size. And he played Magic Johnson in the 91 finals famously. Again, and then you're talking about zone defense. Michael Jordan played zone defense in college, won a championship, won the Olympics twice over. And you're still playing time machine basketball within it. I'm talking about results. I'm talking about who's greater. I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about what happened. I'm not talking about what could have happened. I'm not talking about who would win in a one-on-one game. I'm talking about the results of a career. I'm talking about arguably the most iconic player of all time. I'm talking in respect to the Jordan brand, bringing the NBA to the next level with the 92 Olympics. I'm talking about the guy who did go 6-0 in the finals, because going undefeated is a fantastic feat once you get there. The point of it is that LeBron James, for the claims that you're making, you didn't provide enough evidence. Your claims with dominance are unfounded,
3,
and Michael Jordan is
2,
greater than LeBron
1.
James. I'm sorry for cursing, Shy.
Hey, I also curse too. Hey, I also curse too, dog. I said bullshit multiple times at least. Is that what you call? So,
Hey, I thought this. Well, take us away, Herb, because I got some thoughts. What do you think? You go first.
My bad, y'all. I think the issue with Shy in this debate, I was hoping that he was gonna read the room, and when you witness what Travis did in debate, and you saw how people like Forrest in the chat or even Daughter himself supported the fact that he was coming with the stats and coming with the facts. I think you brought up some facts, but you also brought a lot of opinionated stuff into the equation, and I think that kind of and in debate that's going to hurt. That you come up with opinion based narratives in the debate. If you would have came just with the straight up stats and facts like Travis was doing with the James Harden thing, I think you would have won over, and they have no choice to concede with a lot of things you're saying because that just how people roll with it. They want to hear the actual numbers and facts, and you would have came just strictly focused on that. I think you would have made Dart work real hard to try to win that debate. But the fact that you freestyling too, by the way, so I ain't gonna sit up there and just hold it all against you either. But the fact that you did say a lot of opinionated things that did hurt you in that debate and gave Dart some easy counters in the debate, and that's why I chose Dart. I think you would have focused on, like I know you can, like I know you'll come. If you was prepared, I think you would have came with that type of style. I think you could have made it real tough for Dart to overcome if you would have just came from that angle, rather than came with the opinion based debate style that you came with this go around. So, but I gave it to Dart though overall.
Hey, that's. I mean, so Herm summed up some of my thought process, but I thought, especially for just like off the cuff, it's like two guys like obviously no time to prepare, a week to prepare. Obviously, yeah, it's a familiar topic, but still, just like, hey, let's do this right now. That was very impressive on both sides. Shy, huge props to you, man, for putting together a coherent and staying within the round time, right? Not really ever like, oh, I'm out of time, and you were middle of the sentence. That didn't happen. That was very impressive on both ends. Obviously, both of you guys accomplished that. I thought that was super impressive. Again, just because it was, hey, let's do this right now. So kudos to both of you guys on that. That being said, I loved Shy. I give you round one because I loved you were going in the direction that I hoped how you would argue it. You said, you know what? Here's James statistically. I mean, beat Jordan. Like when you're talking about overall accolades and achievements, you could really push that. You were also talking about, some of the competition. I'd really hope that you were going to maybe try to list some of the competition's accolades and achievements like that he had to go against, because that's really kind of a sticking point. Like you could do that. You did a lot of that time. You brought a bunch of names, which is great. But I really just hope for like maybe a little bit more of the statistical dominance of sides, and maybe a little bit more of a counter of like the whole championship thing. I love how you did mention that it's really, as far as just winning, you made a great case for LeBron too. Obviously, aside from rings, there's other things, right? Like you mentioned finals appearances, you mentioned overall wins, playoff appearances. Great job out of you. I think where Dart to me pulled away in rounds 2 or 3 was he did keep rebutting. He said, hey, you know what? Like, because you said, I think a little where, and not that I disagree with you, but a little bit where you got caught in the weeds was where you were saying, hey, LeBron was the best offensive and defensive player in the league for 4 straight years. Okay, great. Maybe if that's true, there's a lot of ways you could have backed it up. Like look at his advanced metrics. You can make a case for it there. You can make was he winning all NBA defensive team? Where was he finishing DPOY voting? Like what things that you could have just like added to the case with. And I thought that you did a great job, like really just like off the cuff, mentioning those things. So you did a great job. But Dart was like, you know what? Great. It's great you say that, but Mike did win these awards. Like Mike was objectively, these things. And I thought that you really didn't have an answer to that, but I thought that you did a really great job all 3 rounds, honestly, like kind of highlighting the case for LeBron, reiterating his career and things like that. I think that the reason why I give it Dart overall the rounds 2 and 3 was because I think he did a great job of just actively kind of rebuttaling a little bit and asking for a little bit more evidence, which wasn't there. But like I said, off the cuff is you guys were ridiculous. And so, I mean, that was, I think it would have been maybe a completely different debate one way or the other if you guys were like, hey, we're no holds barred, we could prep, let's do this, but I go Dart. You guys did a fantastic job. Very impressed with, I mean, that tells me a lot about you, right? Like what you can do, offhand. Just if someone calls you out right there, you're ready to go, which is incredible. So, I mean, great debate. And, I look forward to seeing you next week with a week to prepare. You've already had that, right? And,
that would be good.
Give them real business.
Yeah, but I sure thought you was gonna kind of read the room, Shy, and just hit him with numbers at the numbers, records at the records.
I was giving him all the accolades. I was giving him some of the LeBron stat achievements. I was giving him, all the players that LeBron faced in this era. I was giving him reasons why I thought he was just a better basketball player. I was like putting into context all the competition that LeBron faced in the finals too. So I thought I did a lot of that too. I mean, in the end, it was a close debate.
You did, yeah. I felt like you did, but I felt like a lot of, especially round 1 was your best round, but really after that though, you was rolling with your opinion and with your feelings towards Mike, instead of just highlighting LeBron's greatness, instead of highlighting all the things LeBron overcame in his career and even overcame, like for us, that 2016 moment, that should have been brought up. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That historical moment. I think you would have a highlight on those type of things. You would have made it hard for Dart. Dart would just have to focus on highlighting Michael Jordan's greatness instead of being able to be a counterpuncher. I think this type of debate, you got to make Dart highlight the greatness of Michael Jordan and not give him any opportunity to counter. You gave him room to put some counters in there.
Okay. I mean, it's cool. It was a good debate. Yeah, it was a good debate. So
the Dart there. Oh,
the power went out again.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a fun debate. I love just this kind of debate anyway. It's really a tale of what you prefer. I truly believe the things that Michael Jordan was greater at than LeBron matters more, but LeBron is a great player, one of the greatest players of all time. So it's always fun to have one of these contentious debates that are fairly popular. I don't like to do it all the time because it's, in ways it's overplayed, but it's an easy one to go to, especially if people don't show up for this debate.
I was like, just off the cuff, right? That's like what I was really looking for too, and like I'll reiterate this, was I was impressed, not necessarily with Dart because I've seen you do this before, just on your show and everything, but yeah, Shy, like really, like it didn't like you were aware of the time, and like you were, you didn't really get cut off, or like caught in the middle, of the point. You actually were very succinct, and you made the argument within the time frame given, which I thought was impressive, right? Especially because I know you don't have like. You didn't have just like a pile of notes in front of you, right?
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, I just tried doing it off the fly,
Yeah, and so that was really good. That's like the mark of, someone who can do that off the cut, which is amazing. So, but yeah. So that being said, like I said, I look forward to next week's debates because they're going to be fantastic. I'm going to try to do a little bit more of exposure here. But Aircraft Carrier says, does Dar have a gun?
Yeah.
Well, hey, maybe we can do a tournament at some point. We'll put that together, and we'll get all of our best in there, and we'll have it out, and we'll decide that once and for all. I'd like
Herm
to
is my Larry Bird. I haven't defeated him yet.
we got to get.
We're not there yet. If I'm the GOAT.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe next week, hey, depending on what Rose says, maybe I get a piece of you, and then we can have these guys go out. They definitely need a rematch.
Hey, Dart, if I do get past you again, you gotta give me Scap, man. I won't smoke the Scap.
So
yeah, I got to reach out to him again. But yeah, no, I can try and set it up. I mean, does he even like? I'm not trying to be mean about it. Does he even know who you are? Like, is that something that like
he probably don't. He probably don't, to be honest. He probably don't. But if he does follow my brother Ticket, he probably be familiar with me to a degree if he follows Ticket. And I have been, I've been on the month stuff before, so if he kind of paid attention, he probably would.
I think he did his video on Ticket the other day.
Yeah, probably not though. Probably not, to be honest.
Either way, that'll be fun. But hey, guys, everyone's gonna go ahead and get on off.
I reached out to him about.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I got to reach out to him again. Last time I reached out, it was kind of. I won't get into details about it, but I got to reach out to him again.
Scarecrow says, "What happened to Nick?"
Talking about NMB Sports.
Yeah,
I have not solicited him hard to debate.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, hey, Nick, do you want to debate so and so on this subject? It'd probably happen. But if you're like, hey, Nick, you want to debate about something?
Yeah.
You gotta approach him directly. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be on it. Yeah. Nick would be on it though, man. Yeah, and shout out to Nick, man. When I did my debate with A. Johnny, he reached out to me. He gave me some nuggets, man. So shout out to Nick, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed when Nick gave what I thought gave them the smoke. On that debate, the Jordan LeBron debate, I thought he did a great job. But yeah, other than that, guys, fantastic. We have a plan going forward. We're gonna get all the best matchups here. Thank you again for everyone in the chat. We've seen a lot of new faces, which is fantastic. And hey, again, shout out to our contestants, all of us here. We welcome you guys to step in as well. Throw any smoke at us you want. Like you said, we'll debate anything. You saw some pretty much, we try to get quote unquote new debates every time. Obviously, this was an impromptu and it was fantastic. But again, shout out to Shy, Herm, Dart, and we'll come back at it next week with different stuff. And everyone enjoy Super Bowl. Go Patriots.
Yep. Go Patriots, man. Fuck Seattle. Fuck Seattle, man.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, y'all. Salute, man. Salute. Peace.
All right. Yeah, I'll hit you guys up.
Peace.
All right, man. Peace out.
Later, man.